Yeah,
sir.
exactly. See, I know Hollywood. I was out there #1 and #2 syndicated show, not this judge show. Hell, I was beating Oprah every week for the last 4 or 5 years before I retired.
Mm.
Hell, I was over 65. Damn that. I had the money. I didn't feel like being bothered with that mess. And I might join the lady who was complaining about what happened with CBS and them depriving her of what she was entitled to
Speak
Oh,
about
right.
Monique.
with
Yeah.
Monique. See,
Right.
CBS wanted me to take a big IOU. I said, wait a minute, CBS, you want me to take that for how many $1 million? You lost your bloody mind. The hell with you. See, and CBS, they're crooks, straight up and down crooks. They lie, they cheat, they steal.
Yeah. With that being said, if you can speak a little bit on the Monique, her now suing CBS for the
CBS is
Parker
a
show.
putrid bunch of lying thieves. They look, half the mess I had with CBS, which is a Viacom property,
Wow.
Viacom assigned it to Paramount and then CBS, was that one of the first CEO involved, they admitted embezzled $25 million from my show. I was supposed to get a big chunk of. So they kept trying to get me to ignore it by, well, I'll tell you what, if you just let us ride, we'll ramp up your next contract. Okay. So I got down to where I had 45% of the unadjusted gross. And that's big money, especially when Viacom and Paramount were saying my show was their most lucrative when it came to profitability. So where is my money? And they want to come up with this. So I wasn't too anxious at the time since I wound up going through a divorce, but I might have to join in with Monique and say CBS is a bunch of sharks. They want to put knives in everybody's back, and I've never seen anything like it. I grew up in South Central LA. Well, it wasn't South Central then because that didn't come up until later as a name. Now the city council said, we're going to use that term because it is so offensive. Well, it was what it was, and you have some wasted kneecaps if you did what Hollywood does ordinarily. Now, they backstab each other, cut each other's throats, and grin while they're sitting around in a 5-star hotel bar on some leather couches, sipping Chablis and nibbling cheese and crackers. And oh, Tommy, those are delicious. Try one of the pink ones. Oh my God, they're so good. Yeah, okay. And one thing about that industry, well, I can abbreviate it. You've got all these adults who spent their entire lives in make believe and fantasy and not real. It's astonishing. The good folk in Hollywood don't hang around with Hollywood because it's kind of sick.
And then we have Freak Nick. And I know we've seen a lot about Freak Nick. A lot of people are up in arms about it, the documentary, a lot of people because they were there. But then there's been this interesting conversation between the hypocrisy of people up in arms and Freak Nick and the Pride Parade. And I seen one person say that the only difference between Freak Nick and the Pride Parade is Freak Nick didn't allow their children to see it.
And the Freaknik started off really as an early Pride event. See, you have people talking about the 1980s and 90s, but they are talking about when this first started associated with Atlanta's underground in the 70s.
Please elaborate.
Yeah.
Well, what do you see when you have a Pride parade? In the 1970s, they didn't have Pride parades, but they had those events. Rick James was on my show. He was talking about, hey, don't get happy. That song "Freaks Come Out at Night" is just a song, But we used to call, man, get your freak on, man. And that was from the 60s, and Freaknik, that was in line with what started out back then. I think they had an analogous event called the Burning Man that was out in the California desert. It was in the 60s, 70s, went down and then came back up. So you see things go down and come back up. And what people are calling Freaknik right now wasn't worth what the first Freaknik was all about. That was what happened in Atlanta, which was a substitute. Well, would become a pride thing now. So it was what it was.
Right. Now you hear people also talking about trying to file lawsuits. Is that going to be possible if they, caught up in the footage?
If your ass was there getting your freak on in public,
Yeah.
damn, you did it in public. What the hell? Oh, I really messed up, man. I was out there high, man. And, like I was getting my freak on, man. 35 years later, man, or 20 years, 28, man, I don't want anybody to know. Well, hell, fool, you shouldn't have done it in the first damn place.
Right. Right.
Sure, they didn't realize we'll have social media and it'd be the way it is today.
Yeah, right. It's coming back to haunt them.
Right.
I want to ask you, real quick, kind of going back to CBS days and being taken off the air or leaving the air.
I didn't get taken off. They owed me $28 million. And I said, where's my damn money? And I said, I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm tired of all you damn fools trying to go around here and cut everybody's throat. I said, I'm out of here. I have better things to do. So I retired on top. And at the time I retired, it was in rankings order. It was Judge Judy, Joe Brown, Wheel of Fortune, Oprah Winfrey in that order for syndicated shows. Then you had the Today Show, Tonight Show, Ed Lenow, and it went down like that. So I went out on top. Some people locally were trying to cheat and misinform corporate headquarters in New York, and they didn't wind up being there. I think the last one got fired within 5-6 weeks after I left.
Did you
and
as
then
far as
we got the Negroes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell on somebody. We got Negroes.
Okay.
They had NAPTY 2014. Myself and another group, we came up with some stuff. We were selling it. NAPTY is National Association of Television Producers and Executives. Okay. Somebody black who is supposed to be all this and that, who was a front for CBS, was over there, and we sent a spy over, very pretty Cubano sister, and she recorded him trying to work out a deal with CBS to set me up, which would have been for several million in penalties. So he wound up trying to get me to do a reenactment court thing, which I wasn't going to do, and he included the exact language we heard him being told about by CBS in this proposed contract, word for word, which would have caused me to be suffering several $1 million in liability to CBS. So when he came and proposed it to me, let's just put it this way: the truth of the matter is CBS and Fox at the time, and I suspect still do, had a contract agreement wherein CBS could not get on cable or satellite without going through Fox. Aside from that being politically incorrect, they had an out, which was if they went through a minority source or vendor. So find you a minority source or vendor, and you can get it on. It doesn't make any difference if everything you're going to have in this catalog of reruns that supposedly black is already on. And CBS is notorious for trying to cut people out of their residuals and what they're supposed to get, which is what Monique's talking about. Well, is that a black hero, or is that just another black front? Right. You can use your imagination as to, well, I don't like him.
But that was kind of, I don't know if this is the person you're talking about,
Right.
but that was my next question. Do you think Judge Mathis was a,
I'm not talking about Mathis.
I'm not saying you are, but I'm actually
No, I'll tell you, it's not him. I'm talking about Byron Allen.
okay. That's the name. Okay. Wow.
That's the name. We recorded him trying to betray me and some other people when he was at NAPTY for CBS's benefit.
Wow.
So let's keep that in mind. And also, they needed a front Negro, so they got one.
Man. Wow.
So that being said, we talk about that all the time. How they use us and they'll put us as the front person to kind of
wreck everybody else.
Yes, sir. So that's
saying, by the way, this thing he's doing now about new content, that wasn't a thing. Everything was a rerun catalog, and it was already on the air. So what was the point of it?
Wow.
Good, brother.
That's deep. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely appreciate you, man. Once again, Judge Joe Brown on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. How's the mayoral race going? Or you still in run?
Yeah, in all the polls I'm leading, we have no runoff. It's nonpartisan. You can't declare a party for this thing.
Okay.
And the last one they had 10 people for a straw poll. Understand, you don't have to get the absolute majority. There's one more vote than the next highest person. Well, I had 47% for the time they ran out of 9 alternatives, and the next person was 11 points below me. And it's gotten ludicrous. We had one idiot that was talking about the way for Memphis to succeed is to give us extra money to bring in billionaires so they can make more money here, and we should sacrifice our interests so they can show us how to do it. Like, have you lost your mind?
Right. Man.
We definitely appreciate you.
And see, they have all kinds of little scams here. They get the fix going on, and they acquire city property that's been confiscated for non-payment of taxes, and the city sells it to them for chump change, and the city rents it back from them for more per month than they paid for it. So it's racket. Things go under the table, and Memphis is probably the most corrupt city in the United States. It always has been, but never have they had so many opportunities. Now, right here, we have folk who are supposedly woke, and they get to talking about white supremacy and white racism causing the police, white racist police. Well, guess what the reality is? Between 65 and 70% of the police department is black. 80% of the command authority in the police department is black. 60% of the criminal court judges are black women. And let's say 65+% of the jury pool is black. So just how did that equate to being white folk jamming up black folk? Oh, and the chief of police is a black female.
Where can people go to support?
Oh, that's all kinds of racism, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, Judge, on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Let the people know where they can find you and where they can support you.
You there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
All right. I hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me? I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir, we can.
All right. Okay. On Twitter, you can get me at Judge Joe Brown TV. And I actually got a blue check thanks to Elon Musk, the new boss. He gave him 5 days to get it squared out. I got my blue check in 2 days after 7 years of trying. They said they didn't believe it was me. By the way, you see what dude did this week? They just had a practice countdown for the most
yeah.
powerful rocket ever made that should be able to get more than 100 people to Mars in one flight, let alone to the moon. So it will be able, the booster will land vertically at the spaceport so it doesn't drop into the ocean. And it can get up to 150 tons of payload into a low Earth orbit with, 16 million pounds of thrust. That's a bad boy. So that's what he's doing, but he's still paying attention to Twitter. I just put that as an interjection. Also, I do service and sauce.
Yes, sir.
Service, JJB2023.com. That's Judge Joe Brown in 2023 for mayor of Memphis, Tennessee. Send Brown downtown, take back your town. We're going to make this to Detroit for the 21st century, and we invite everybody to come in as long as you're legal. This will not be a sanctuary city. Next thing, in addition to JJB 2023, I do sauce. There is a very excellent barbecue sauce that comes under the brand Judge Joe Brown Barbecue, JJBBBQ.com. You can order some online. I would suggest that you get the 3-pack. That's probably most economical in shipping. We also have it by the case. It will be going on sale on the shelves, and certain grocery chains have already ordered a few thousand cases so that they can market it. Tiffany Haddish is an investor, and she and I have been doing some crazy commercials that should be hitting out. And also there's the beautiful Dr. Cheyenne Bryant who's doing the commercials. And guys, that's a profound person to be dealing with if you got mental health problems. Plus she looks like a movie star. Whoa. So it's going to be all the way live. We have sauce, hot and mild, OGs coming out. We've got the powder or seasoning and hot, mild. We've got chicken links, raw, smoked, mild, or spicy. And they're put up by the only Black-owned USDA certified meat packing plant in California, and a sister runs that. So if you're in Los Angeles, you can taste this stuff in one form through one of the co-designers of the stuff, Chef Damon, at D's Original Takeout Grill on the corner of 79th and Western down in the hood. Now, it's takeout only, but it's good stuff. You'll enjoy it. We've been winning taste tests, and by the way, it even fits health food stuff. You can put it on greens and cow and pig and goat and sheep and duck, goose, turkey, chicken, you name it. And we're going to have another product, which is this Beyond Beef thing. We're going to have some links made out of that. So if you're vegetarian, you can get your groove on there too and enjoy your Q. And it's some good stuff. I've been working on it for the last 40 years. And I mean, you taste this and you want to dig some relative up and slap them across the head because they never came up with it. Say, man, how come you didn't, why didn't you tell me it could be like this? So get your government on, get your gastro on, and it'll be good. JJB2023.com or JJBBBQ.com. And you can go to the website, and by the way, you can contribute because we don't want any money from all of the big interests that don't need to be having an interest in our communities or anybody's community. And you can do $ Judge Joe Brown 2023, $ Judge Joe Brown 2023. That's Cash App. And you can use credit cards online at the site, jjb2023.com. So, yeah, I guess that's service and sauce.
We always appreciate the knowledge. Judge Joe Brown, the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Always